Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fortis Live. This is our second episode, and actually, before we go any further, I do got to tell you, you can see there's only two of us here, and as you know, every other Thursday we try to have a guest speaker on. My co-host Michael was not able to make it today because, unlike some of us, Michael has a real job. Unlike what we do. So,
Well, I have a real job too. So.
yeah. Anyhow, wherever you're at, Michael, hope you're watching. Um, again, this is our second episode of Fortis Live. Again, we try to do it every Thursday, high noon. So, welcome to the show. Our main topic for today is going to be church security. Okay. So before we jump into that, I'd like to introduce you to the guest of our show, Mr. George Dollar. He is local from from our surrounding area.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is George Dollar. I own T.O.C Kydex. I have a Facebook page. Don't have a website yet, but I do have the Facebook, and I offer Kydex everyday carry gear, duty gear, and a wide variety of other gear that I don't make, but I can't offer it. And my goal is to make the gear as comfortable as comfortable as I possibly can, so you want to wear it every day. Because if it's uncomfortable, you're not going to carry it, and that's not the whole point to this. Is to be able to carry the damn gun, as I like to say. So anyway, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay. We just had somebody text in saying speak more into the mic.
Okay.
And raise your voice a little bit.
I thought I was pretty loud, but
Okay. Anyhow, the once again, for those of you didn't hear George, again, this is George Dollar, and I will let you. That's the good thing about being live is, sometimes mistakes happen, but you just it's fluid, so you just roll with it. So George, if you would, this time while you're talking into the mic, introduce yourself again.
okay. This is my first time. People don't let me on the internet where they can see my face. My name is George Dollar, for y'all that didn't catch that to begin with. And the name of my company is T.O.C Kydex. I have a Facebook page. I don't currently have a website yet. But my main focus of my company is I make Kydex everyday carry gear, duty-style gear for law enforcement, security, people that wear that kind of stuff. And the main purpose and the main goal of my company is to make the gear as comfortable as I can possibly make it, so that you want to carry the damn gun every day. And that's the whole purpose, to be able to carry the gun. So.
All right. Well, again, today is the like I said, our main topic today is going to be church security. So, with that being said, if y'all have any questions or anything, this is a live platform for all of the two people that's watching us. This is a live platform, so if you have any questions, man, by all means, post them, and if we can get to them, then if I can answer them, then I'll answer them, or if George can answer something I can't, we'll do our best to answer it. If not, then we'll pin it and we will wait, and it'll be a discussion for the next next Thursday. So excuse me. So church security. Why are we talking about church security today? Is we go to the church that my wife and I, Angela, go to. We're not going to throw any names out there, because it's kind of a private thing. But the church that we go to, one of the things that I was called to do by the Lord is develop a church security team. Okay, so with that being said, I took on the challenge, and we have over the last couple of days I've put a full-blown church security program. I've developed it. Okay, now I haven't reinvented the wheel or anything like that. Basically, I've honestly never done a church security program. So I've done security programs for very high profile people. You know, on the military side of it. So there's a whole lot that goes into that. Okay, um, but I've never done one for a church, so there's kind of some obstacles that you face when you do that. So um with that, like I said, I was I felt when they called me to do that, that was my calling. That's the way I'm gonna that I foresee myself serving the church. Okay, um, here I guess it's been a couple of weeks ago, and we're located in Gilmer, so just down the road from us, in Winona, Texas. Okay, Sunday morning. I'm sure probably a lot of you have seen this, but on the news, what had happened is there was a young man that was in a chase the night before. Excuse me, in a chase the night before, and I guess he had wrecked out or something. I'm not 100% on sure the details leading up to it, but I guess he had wrecked out, and at that point he took shelter in the church, broke into the church. It was was it a Methodist church? Something like that. The
I don't
denomination don't matter, but
Yeah.
it was a very small church there in Winona. So he took shelter inside this church, and he hid out all night, and hiding out. The next morning, Sunday morning, the pastor of the church had come in, ended up confronting him. The pastor was armed. So somehow he'd come to the church, found him in the church, ended up confronting him. The young man inside the church disarmed the pastor somehow and ended up using the gun against the pastor. So he ended up shooting and killing the pastor. And then I believe somebody else came in after that. That person got shot. And then in the course, the young man trying to get away went out, held somebody at gunpoint, took their vehicle, and fled the scene, which ensued another police chase. So now we're not going to get into the details. I've seen a whole lot of stuff that people have posted online. If you're going to carry a gun, you should know how to use it. Okay. The fact of the matter is, no one but that young man and the preacher knows what happened inside that church. Okay. I would like to think what happened, and this is just me speculating, but there could there could be any kind of multiple versions to this, but I would like to speculate that maybe the pastor did have the young man at gunpoint, and somehow the young man may have been saying, "Hey, I'm giving up," and earned the pastor's trust in some form or fashion, and was able to get close enough to the pastor to at that point disarm him. And then you know what happens after that. I don't want to try to Monday morning quarterback it and say, hey, this gentleman should have known how to use his gun if he was going to point it, because nobody knows what happened other than the two individuals that were in that church. So with that being said, that brings to light church security programs. Okay, what the church protocol is for opening up a church. Throughout the church. Once the church services are over. So one of the things that like I said, we're going to talk today about is George offers equipment. He also runs a church security program at the church that he goes to. So. He's gonna talk about some of his company a little bit. He's gonna talk about some of the gear that they offer, some of the stuff that they carry with their church security program. And that being said, I'm gonna let George take it away.
Well, we're not going to get into the tactics and the training and all that right now. Right now, we're just going to talk about the gear. And to me, any member of a church security team, it's all going to, the basics is going to be your EDC, your everyday carry gear. And if you carry a gun, You need a holster. I carry an inside the waistband holster. Uh, I have pretty much the whole time I've been carrying. I've been carrying for quite a few years now. Some people can't do inside the waistband. So I offer outside the waistband holsters too, and they fit very tight up against your body, so you can pull a shirt down, and it will print a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to try and BS you. It does print some, but it's not enough to where they can tell what it is. And people get so worried about printing out there nowadays, and I get this question at least once or twice a week. The only people that are going to be paying attention if you have a gun on your hip or trying to find a gun on your hip is either law enforcement or other people that carry. 90% of the population has their face stuck in this. They're not going to be paying attention to what you're doing. So don't worry about printing. And please quit fiddling with your gun. I see it out there all the time. People are constantly making sure, touching their gun, making sure it's still there, adjusting it. Leave it alone. The only time you should ever touch that gun out in public is if it's a bad day. But anyway, another part of what should be everybody's EDC is a spare mag. It's not because of more bullets. The FBI statistics, self-defense shooting and law enforcement shootings included, is 5 rounds or less most of the time. This is not for more bullets. This is to clear malfunctions, which 90% of the malfunctions in a semi-automatic gun are due to the magazine. Another part of EDC is a knife. Excuse me. You need a pocket knife. Everybody needs a pocket knife, not just for cutting somebody, but for doing everyday stuff. And all this stuff I offer too. I can get pocket knives, fixed blade knives. The only thing I can't offer is the gun and the ammo because I'm not an FFL. The core to a good EDC is a good gun belt. The $5 belt from Walmart, that's not going to cut it for a gun belt. You need a good solid gun belt. A lot of them have a steel core. A lot of them have a Kydex or a plastic core. You need something that's not going to collapse under the weight of the gun. A flashlight is another thing. I offer flashlights too. You should always have a flashlight. I'm not a big believer in an everyday carry gun with a light on it, because there's going to be somebody out there that's going to use that light with the gun on it. It's just, or the gun with the light on it as a flashlight. And if you don't need that gun out, then why do you have it out? One more thing real quick, and then we'll let it get back to Kevin. A pen and a notepad. To me, that's more important than the gun. If you can't write down information to give to law enforcement if something bad happens, and especially if you shoot somebody, you need to be able to remember what happened. You need to be able to prove to that jury, if it ends up going to a court case, that you were in fear for your life. And having the proper information and being able to tell them that information, that could be a big difference in keeping you out of jail, even if it was justified. Anyway.
So George, are the items that you've brought in today, is that stuff that you typically maintain in stock, or is it, or how does that work? How can somebody get a hold of you to inquire about any of the gear that you've got?
The stuff that as far as the stuff that I make everything to order. I'm a small time guy, so I don't keep a whole lot of Kydex gear ready to go right then. And I do have a day job. This is just a side gig for me. Hopefully it'll be full time one day, but for right now it's just a side job. I keep all the materials in to make the gear. I typically tell everybody 2 weeks, but 95% of the time it's less than a week. I'll get the gear to them. As far as the stuff that I don't make that I offer, like magazines and backpacks and knives and flashlights, I try to keep some of that in stock all the time, and I'm constantly working on building that stuff up to keep in stock. So it's just going to depend on some items that may not be worth spending the money to keep them in stock if I only get one person to order them. So, and I get everything in usually 95% of the time really quick. I'm not Amazon, but right. I get everything in pretty quick.
Sure. So it's basically some of it's custom made, and some of it's through other companies. Very good. Um, did you bring anything else? I thought you had a. Didn't you have like a bag or?
Yeah, I have my everyday carry backpack.
Let's check that bad boy out. That looks pretty cool.
All right, Kevin, I'm gonna stand up.
Sure,
and
go
then you can
go right ahead.
you can go ahead and describe everything to them, since I won't be near the camera.
Well, if you talk, I mean, you'll still be able to hear you.
Okay. Go.
It looks heavy.
Yeah, it's got my laptop and some basic emergency survival situation type stuff. But this is a backpack by 511 Gear. This is a sling pack. Got a single pad on it or a single strap on it. You can use it as a right or left hand. This particular model does have a level 3A plus ballistic pad in there. I can use it as a body armor. And then you just throw it over your head and your arm, and just carry it. And then if it comes down time to do something, swing it in front of you. You have body armor, and it's also got a pocket for a gun. So I offer this backpack. I offer the ballistic pads. I can get level 4 rated. Did somebody say something about not being able to hear me? Anyway, I'm gonna take this off so I can get back down here and talk.
Okay, so George, on this bag here, does it is that? Do you typically wear that like in a? I mean, obviously you don't wear it while you're in church, but is that something that you have like readily available for a? I don't want to say a go bag because that's not, that wouldn't be what it's considered if you're using it in church security, but some form of protection while you're at church. Is that something that you typically you carry with you at church?
That's always within reach, and depending on what part of Sunday school or church it is, I'm in a different position, but that bag goes with me, and it's always within reach of me. I don't carry it on me because it just looks kind of weird. You got a tactical backpack, you're at the door of a church. It looks weird.
Right. So now so it does have a level. You said a level 3.
Level
so
3, level 3A.
Level 3A. So, okay, so it's got a level 3A plate between the contents of the bag and your back. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you can basically use it as a small shield or anything like that.
Yeah, which the level 3A is rated to stop handguns, handgun rounds, 12 gauge double aught buck slugs. I mean, it'll work all the way up to a 44 Magnum round. I can actually get rifle rated plates for this backpack that'll stop multiple hits from 30-06, which most people aren't going to be using something like that if they're trying to do something bad. So
cool. That is pretty cool. I have seen I've seen those companies that offer like the backpacks for like kids to wear to school.
Yeah.
Where they basically pull the tabs and then pull it over it, and they've got
I can offer those, and to be honest, I don't know if I can offer them to where it would be a competitive enough price. So that's why I don't really advertise that, but I can get a hold of that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So, with that being said, what's your opinion on forming church security teams? Like, why do you feel that's? Do you feel it's an important thing, and contrast it from years ago to just kind of what we're going through today?
To me, as you said earlier, God has a plan for everybody, and every member of any team is useful in some form or fashion. And the people that, and a lot of people get the misconception that a church security team member has to be somebody that carries a gun, and that's not the case. Whenever I try to set up one or recommend how to set up one, I always say, if possible, have at least 2 people that can operate the cell phone if something bad goes on, to be able to call 911. That way, everybody's not trying to call 911, and you're jamming up the lines. Some people will be the people that are going to be dedicated to stop that bad person, but everybody has a role. Every member in the congregation has a role, whether they're part of that team or not. And as far as how things used to be compared to how they are now, well, this could be an hour-long or more than an hour long. It could be an all day thing as to why I think things are different compared to from then to what they are now as far as people trying to go in there and do bad things. I think it's the notoriety, the fact they want to be internet famous even if they're not alive, where they didn't have that back then, so there was really no incentive.
So social media has definitely played a huge factor in.
Well, not even just social media, but the internet in general.
Right.
The internet's a good thing, but it can also be a very bad thing too.
Yeah, that's very true. So kind of, I guess what I'm going to kind of do here is like I said, I've got our whole church security program right here. So I just want to go down just a few of these topics just to kind of get. I've asked a couple of people about this, and just to kind of get what their thinking is on it. What do you think some of the important things of actually picking members? Like what do you look for when you pick members? When you're going in, like for your church, you've got a group of people. What in that group of people? What are you looking for that you would want on your team? Like what traits, what qualities, and what have you?
Well, I mean, for one, it'd be nice if those people on that team have had some training. Just because you can carry a gun doesn't mean you automatically know how to use it, which Kevin knows that. I mean, Kevin's a combat veteran. I've never been in combat. I'm going off the training I've had from people that have actually done it. People that are actually willing to take this serious, and this is a very serious thing. If you're going to be a security team person for any church, you owe it to the people in that church to be the best possible security person you can. People that actually are able to pay attention and have good situational awareness. And then if people are going to be carrying a gun, I like to be able to see how they shoot, how they handle that gun, and how they manipulate it.
So do you think as far as when you choose somebody, do you feel that there's a vetting program that I say vetting, because basically anybody can, well, okay, I'll just kind of tell you what I'm looking at. So when I'm choosing someone for a security team, I'm not trying to choose every person that applies, okay? Because in my opinion, you would have people. I've seen it happen, not just not on a church security team, but just other things that required being somebody in charge, somebody with some kind of authority. You put something out, hey, we're looking for this type of people and this type of person, and then all of a sudden you have somebody basically step up, hand you their resume on why they're the coolest person ever, and they're beating their chest and they're basically, I think what it comes down to is they're not over analyzing themselves, but they're making themselves out to be more than what they are.
Yeah.
So it's so on your vetting program, what steps do you take to that you would typically vet somebody for?
Well, I kind of agree with your point. Is not well. I guess take that back. I really don't agree with the point that there only need to be certain people. Everybody can be a member of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Some people operate the phones, as I said earlier. Some people, their dedicated job is to point people where to go in case of any kind of disaster, whether it be
Sure.
a fire, a tornado, or an active shooter. They may not be actually engaging that person, engaging the bad guy or bad girl, but they can be helping direct everybody else to where they need to go. Because everybody's going to be running around like it's going to be like trying to herd cats. So you need as many people with a level head. That's another thing that you have to look for to see if somebody can. And that's going to be hard to tell unless something like that actually happens. But
Yeah, because you never know what's gonna. I mean, you never know what you'll do until it's a fight. It's what we call the fight or flight syndrome.
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, you can talk the talk, but when it comes down, can you walk the walk for it?
and I'm sure y'all seen that when you was in the military. People had all that training and they may have froze up.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
may have acted completely different than how they were trained.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it happens.
But I believe there's a use for everybody.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite books is The Art of War. And Sun Tzu said that every member of that squad or that team has a purpose and a use.
Yeah, that's very good. Very good point. Okay, so let me ask you this: what? So you've got a security team. Do you feel that there's only a threat from the outside, or do you feel that your security team um, should be aware of potential threats on the inside of the church?
White settlement is a prime example. Everybody's facing out what's going on inside. And that just goes to show. Now that I think that case was an anomaly. I think the majority of them will be coming from the outside, but you do need to have people inside the sanctuary or inside the halls watching to make sure, because people lose their tempers even in church, and there could be something going down inside the church. So yes, you do need to have people inside looking in, and not just everybody looking out.
So one of the in developing our program, one of the things I've looked real hard at is, and when I say an insider threat, just a term that we use, in the on the other side of the line, but insider threat. I mean, to me, you would want a security team that could not only mitigate threats from the outside, coming in and doing their stupid stuff, but you would also want a team that could mitigate threats from the inside. And by inside, I'm talking. What I'm getting at is,
Well, fire is one thing I think of whenever you're saying the threat from the inside.
well, yeah, but what more or less what I'm getting at is threats on the inside from, say, unruly parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Parents that somebody maybe in the church that has personal issues going on, that maybe custody issues, and you have somebody that comes in and tries to pull the kid out of their Sunday school class early, and it basically turns into a kidnapping from within. But that's typically an insider threat, or and when I say insider threat, that's kind of a harsh term to use, but in essence, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Or you've even got sexual predators.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm gonna give you some throw some numbers out.
Well, one thing that's also going to dictate how you're going to organize and coordinate this church team is how many members you have.
Correct.
Some churches you might be able to get with. One buddy of mine, he's a security team leader for a very large church. They can get a lot of people on their team. Some churches may only have one or two people on their team.
Right. And yeah, you're very right on it. It does depend on how large the church is, on how, I mean, because everybody in the church can't be a security team member, then who's going to be able to sit there and get fed? You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so talking when I bring up sexual predators in a church, so just some numbers. I like numbers. Okay, here's some statistics, and this was put out on Christianity Today. The date of this article was May 21st of 2019. So, and this is talking about this isn't one denomination or anything like that, but this was multi denominations as a whole. Okay, so 10% of the people under the age of 35 left their church, saying that sexual conduct was their reporting of sexual misconduct was not taken seriously. Okay, among the younger group, 9% left their church because they didn't feel safe from sexual misconduct. So they've had somebody approach them at some form or fashion that didn't didn't give them a good feeling about the position. Between the ages of 18 to 34, experienced sexual harassment in church. 23% of those are victims while at church. Okay,
That's sad.
that's an insider threat.
Yeah.
Okay, and well, let me finish here. The age between age spans 12, ages 12 to 34 in age, peaking between 16 and 19, um, were victims at overnight retreats. So, again, to me, that's something that a security team should also be able to mitigate. I think all too often when people form security teams for their church, like you said, they're focused on facing outward.
Yeah, they're circling the wagons,
They're
watching
they're
out for the
circling the
people.
wagons, and that's a very good analogy. They're circling the wagon, and they're concentrated outwards when there sometimes you do have a wolf among the sheep. In my opinion, um,
I believe a lot of that, all of that boils down to training, getting training to help mitigate that.
correct. Um, so in me putting a security plan together, one of the things I would look at would be to ensure ensure the staff, not just the security team, but your unsecurity staff, um, are aware of the how should I say it the techniques. The techniques or the principles of sexual predators, because there's always somebody, when you talk to people, somebody tells you, hey, well, this person got caught because, he was sexually assaulting young kids. And then, one of the first things that people say was, golly, I'd have never have known. And, and that a lot of times that comes from people that, they pride themselves on being able to judge character.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Man, sexual predators, they blend in. They blend in. And to me, your staff, that's something that your staff should be trained in. There's multiple books on the market. One of them, for instance, is named Predators, and I don't remember who the book was written by, but the name of the book is called Predators, and it gives an inside look, firsthand accounts from predators on why they do what they do, what they're looking at. So. Um, Roger, that's a very good point. That's something else that we're looking at incorporating into a program. Um, the but I'll get to that in just a second here. So, um,
Well, to me, that's not really just a job for the security team. That should be a job for everybody in that church.
yeah, and while you're right, you do have a very good point. What How do you know everybody that you put in that position would pass a vetting?
Well,
What
like the
what 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 would you recommend? Like, I mean, because I could talk to you, you could talk to me, and or well, let's not use that example. You could just talk to any random, you know, gentleman or lady on the street, and your sense of that person is, um, man, that's a nice, very sweet old man, very sweet, uh, lady, blah blah blah, and underneath that person, there's evil that lurks. You see what I'm saying? So how do you how trying to figure out how to word this? How would you vet your people that you're put in a position as shepherds among the children of the church?
having somebody to watch somebody else, having everybody watching everybody.
Okay, so more or less a
Not to say that you don't not trust people, but to a point you don't trust people.
trust but verify.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my idea here. I feel that when you develop a church, when you develop a security program, you have to know without a shadow of a doubt that these people, and really the only way of knowing is you do a background check on them.
Well, yes, but I mean that's, um, and I use this as an example, and I have a few years ago. I'm not going to say the denomination, but people that were leaders of that church that were took an oath to God to lead His people were being inappropriate with children, and that was a big blow up all over the world. It's a
Right.
worldwide denomination. I'm sure everybody knows which one I'm talking about. But that just goes to show, even with proper vetting, that's not a guarantee that that's going to keep it from happening.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything that's 100% foolproof, but I do believe that when you're forming a group that is there to be shepherds over the flock, and I don't want to say the word. Well, I mean, I get sheepdog. They're there to
Yeah.
keep the wolves out of the sheep. Um, I think you should do everything in your. I mean, because you may have known this person 20 years, but you don't know somebody until you know somebody.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So, I feel to me, my opinion on when you form a group like that is there needs to be a vetting process, and I think one of the first steps is you check your people against a you check them against a registry,
Yeah.
the sexual the
Sexual offender
yeah
registry.
the offender registry in your local area. That's a good place to start. Run the people of your. I mean, shoot, you can even run and this don't have to be something that everybody knows is happening. Because now I don't believe that if you've had trouble with the law, when you're, you messed up, maybe when you're younger or something like that. I don't think that should bar you from a church, because God said among sinners. Okay, He wasn't hanging out with the, all the hoity-toity people that were perfect, because that's, His job is to save and bring people to His Father. So, but I do believe that if there's been something in the past, that your church should make wise decisions on who to put in leadership roles that deal with children. You know what I'm saying? So I would go as far as saying is, when you check them on a sexual the register, you vet them there first, and then anybody in a position of leadership that would be around. I mean, on a security team or on the staff of the church. I mean, and to me, it's good because it mitigates legal issues later on. It's protecting the church.
Cuts down on liability.
It's cuts down on liability, but it protects the church, and it protects the people in the church. But I think one of my big things is I think there should be a background check done on it. Done on the people that if they want to be in this specific position, then they would need to agree to a background check just to vet them. Because I could tell you something all day long, but you don't know me until you know me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And looking at Roger's comment, I do completely agree with that. I don't necessarily know if it has to be a male and a female, but when you have an adult with a group of children, having two adults there, so they can watch each other.
Right. So and that gets back to a two-person concept. So, and that term two-person concept, that came from that's one of the old military styles when I was stationed at Barksdale in Louisiana, and it was to go inside to cross this certain line, you had to have two people. But anyhow, so two-person concept, which I mean, it would equate to the same thing. If you've got children, if you've got somebody of the opposite sex, if you've got like a young girl that needs to go to the bathroom, every
That is a point I didn't think about.
everything should be made to find another adult to escort them to the bathroom, or find another female that can of course take them into the bathroom, and like I said earlier, man, you've got to trust but verify.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. But by no means do I feel anybody that's had any issues with the law that's been put on that register, because not everybody on that register are bad people.
Well,
I know multiple people that have, they were 18 years old and they'd been dating a young girl, like that may have been like a year or two younger, and everything was fine up until they hit 18, and all of a sudden the parents didn't like it. Boom, they went and filed charges on them.
I have a buddy of mine that almost that exact thing happened to him, and he's a great guy. He's not a child molester, but he's on a registry.
Right. So, and it's just that's just when I talk about the insider threat thing, that's kind of what I'm alluding to. That's more or less what I'm alluding to is how do you defend, how do you set your church up where it's not sitting behind an eight ball and just waiting for something potentially to explode, later on. Um, so I think there's a lot of things that you can put in place, um, a lot of policies that you can put in place, not necessarily micromanage it, but I think there's some smart policies that should definitely be put in places in church that would help mitigate the liability and
Well, Roger just come up with another great comment that is a really good idea. Check with their former church if you can find out which one it is.
yeah, that's a very good point. Um, yeah, Roger, very very good point there. So um, anyhow, so man, do you have anything else on that with the church? Like I've got like a whole 12-step
Yeah.
program, that we're I've put together, but man, it would take probably a couple hours to go through and talk about all this. But that's just some of the main things I want to talk about. What you thought about, stuff from the outside, and then all too often, in my opinion, people are looking, like you said, they're circling a wagon,
Yeah.
facing outwards when at the same time part of your security team should be aware of stuff that goes on
Yeah.
inside the church.
White settlement. That's always
Right.
the one I go back to.
Right.
The only other thing I really want to touch on is, to me, the most important and the one you're more apt to use than you are your gun is medical.
Right.
Medical equipment, and the equipment is nothing if you don't have the training, just like with a gun. Everybody should have a comprehensive medical kit. I carry a defib machine, in which mine, I got lucky. I got a really good price on this one, but
You got that for free 99, didn't you?
free 99. Yeah, free 99. This is my comprehensive, pretty much cover everything medical kit. This is a Maxpedition sling pack. I can get these, and pretty much just about everything that goes inside this pack. Everybody should have an IFAC handy. And why not everybody is not carrying one of these, I will never understand.
Tourniquets.
Why are people not carrying them? If you can put a hole in the body, you should be able to have the training and the equipment to plug up that hole and stop the bleeding. Because that hole in the body might be a hole in your body that you don't need.
Yeah, and you never know, carrying tourniquets on you, you never know when somebody else is going to have to use that on you, when your tourniquet is going to be used
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, just like when y'all were taught in the military, it's
yeah,
not
I've
for
seen
somebody
that.
else, it's for you.
That's right. It is for you. So,
I do make a low profile tourniquet carrier, a Kydex tourniquet carrier for these, the Cat T tourniquets and the soft T wide. It's just a Kydex carrier just for the tourniquet, and it fits really tight up against your body and doesn't stick out.
good deal. Yeah, medical is a huge thing when it comes to a church security plan. I think that, in my opinion, and of course, there's multiple opinions on this, but I think that especially everyone, well, I mean, everyone in the church should. I mean, there should be some type of signage or something like that lets people know medical kit, prepositioned here. Defibrillator, here, whatever like that. But I think part of your church security team, you should always have somebody that's medically trained, whether that be a fireman, a corpsman, prior corpsman, somebody that has a very good understanding of trauma, basic trauma. I think it's a good idea for that person to typically sit in the same spot at church, like a reserved seat that person, and if he's got a family, he or she's got a family with them, that if something happens to anybody in the church, no matter how big or small the church is, you know where that person can be located at, kind of deal. So that's just kind of like an idea of mine.
I think everybody should have medical training, whether it's just a basic stop to bleed. Everybody should have CPR training. Everybody. There's people that give free courses for that. So if you say you can't afford it, then that's not an excuse because free is something everybody can afford.
Yeah, and now one of the things I alluded to on our last show was we've got I've actually got an EMT instructor for Fortis. So we've got a course coming up. It may be next month. We're gonna try to kick it out next month. So it'll be a course where you've got your weapons training, your basic weapons training. You've got a combatives course with that, and you've got basic trauma care, and it'll be a weekend course. So. And then along with that, we are looking at doing a 2-day advanced trauma course. One of the things that I'd like to be a part of that would be figuring out how the people that attend that course to get them CPR certified through the Red Cross. So, but that advanced course would take you from everything from chest decompression to basic CPR, sutures. The whole 9 yards, but on it in a more advanced role than just basic. Hey, start plugging, start plugging bandages in a hole kind of deal.
Well, when in doubt, plug the hole.
Yeah, that's right. So, and throw a tourniquet on it by all means. So,
To me, the most important one as far as medical, because back to again, you're more than likely going to be treating some kind of medical issue that's not somebody getting shot or cut. Being able to treat heart attacks, which always carry a bottle of aspirin and a deep bed machine with you.
right.
That's going to help a lot with heart attacks. But
I'll the whole deal with tourniquets. Just let me tell this quick story, the story, and then we'll wrap this up. So while I was in the military, I don't remember what year it was, but anyhow, in Fort Worth, I'd put together like an advanced IFAC kit. Well, not necessarily an IFAC kit, but an advanced first aid, a medical kit. Because it did have fluids in it. Had IVs and the whole 9 yards in it. So I was headed to a place there in Fort Worth called Omaha's, right? And they've got it's a military surplus place. So I was in uniform, and I'd gone. The whole reason I was going was to get a bigger bag to put my whole kit and stuff in. So. So I go, I find the right bag, and when I'm on my way back to the base, I drove a BMW 330i at the time, so I was really, I didn't want nobody looking at my car, kind of deal. I didn't want nobody breathing on it. So I was in a left-hand lane, and it was a 4-lane road, 2 one way, 2 the other. And we were passing in front of this. I don't remember the name of the road, Watt Settlement Road or something. I don't remember the name of the road, but something like that. But anyhow, so we were going. I was headed back to the base, and there was this lady in this like RAV4 that was driving next to me, and we were running about 40 miles an hour. 35, 40 miles an hour, something like that. And I'd noticed this lady. She kept running up on the curb, and I'm like, "What the hell?" So. I kind of backed off a little bit, because I didn't want her putting a scratch on my car. Yeah. And anyhow, so I looked over, and man, bigger than anything, this woman was driving just like this right here, and she'd veer over, and literally the whole car would go up on the concrete curb, and she'd come back down, and she did not take her phone out of her face. So I backed off a little bit more, and right now, we're. Like, here's the back of her car, here's the my front bumper, and I'm probably overlapped her by a foot or something like that. Man, just like that, she went up on that curb and head on into a telephone pole, right? And we were going fast enough that basically what it did is it almost split her vehicle down the center of it. I mean, it was crazy the way it just hit just right. So when she hit, we made like this inverted. No, that's Top Gun stuff. So, so anyhow, so when she hit, her vehicle yanked that way, and it like within like probably less than an inch from hitting the front of the car. So it was loud, and instant smoke just started going everywhere. The horns going off, but it stopped her vehicle, right? So I go up maybe 20, 30 feet, and I hit the brakes, instantly, enough to where I got power and past her, and she wouldn't hit me. But anyhow, so ended up kind of sliding sideways, and now you can see people coming out of the businesses and stuff like that running because there's smoke everywhere. Like like, is this car fixing to catch on fire, kind of deal. So, got out of the vehicle, and I've got all of my medical stuff just laying in the trunk, right? Because I hadn't stuck it all in my bag yet. So, I run over to her, and everybody's just sitting there looking at me because I'm in uniform, right? Like, nobody knows what to do. And this lady, she didn't have a seatbelt on. She was hanging out of her windshield. Her face was just, it was bad, right? I mean, unrecognizable. Okay, so she's hanging out of her vehicle and out of the windshield, and there's fluid dropping from the rear of her vehicle. So we're like, holy cow, that's gasoline.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
So anyhow, so we I go up there, like I said, everyone's looking at me, and I'm trying to assess the situation, figure out what I'm going to do, how this whole thing's fixing to play out. So, as I start calling people and, hey, come over here, help me, because I really didn't want to move her too much, but I knew we had to get her out in case this car goes up. So anyhow, long story short, we got her out of the vehicle. We braced her neck. We tried to keep her neck as stable as possible to where it wasn't moving in case she did have a neck injury or anything like that. Trying to keep her back, but when you're trying to pull somebody through the rest of the windshield,
Hard to stabilize.
It's hard to stabilize that. So we did what we could because like I said, the vehicle was going up any minute. So anyhow, got her out, and of course she's got their stuff stuck in her, but the whole reason I'm telling you about this is to tell you this about the tourniquets. So I had probably 7 or 8 tourniquets in my trunk, and I yelled to this guy, hey, go pop the trunk to my vehicle. Here's how you do it, and grab all the grab everything you can and bring over here. Wow. And at that point, like I'm checking for a pulse. I'm trying to assess her, triage her is what I'm doing. So and I wasn't the blood. I mean, I'm just covered right from her, and I wasn't thinking about her having anything or anything like that. But I was just trying to. My main thing was to try to save her life. So anyhow, they brought everything over there. Man, I started running an IV on her, and about that time, after we got her all braced up and everything like that, I'm trying to get fluids into her, trying to get her whatever she's got. But anyhow, so they have medical people finally arrived on scene. A nurse come on scene and started helping me out and all this and that. But I ended up applying tourniquets on every part of her body because she was bleeding out of everything. But the tourniquets is what stopped all that kind of deal. So anyhow, long story just to tell you the tourniquet thing. But it is very good to have tourniquets on you. I've got them all in my vehicle. So yeah, the tourniquet's a huge.
Well, I would like to add one thing to that little story, and just for people that. If somebody has something sticking in their body, when in doubt, just leave it in there.
Yeah.
Because that could definitely keep them from bleeding out. It may hurt like hell, but it's better than be hurting for a little while than dead.
Right.
Real quick, before we get off here, I know we're kind of running over. Roger come up with another good question. Is there any way that you could touch on that? I know this can be an all-day thing, but just for people that are curious about the insurance part of it.
What's this question? Man, on this is new to me, so I'm not sure how this whole deal will play out. Okay. I don't know how it's typically set up with churches. That's a question that I can't, Roger, that I can't give you 100% answer on. So, but I will do the research on it, and I'll let you know.
Well, I can. A little bit, just from the churches I've dealt with, actually getting their security team members. Cameras is another good thing to help the insurance go down.
Right.
But getting them trained by a certified instructor does help with your insurance.
Yeah, and legal issues as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, that's going to do it for us. We're about at an hour. So that's.
Oh, this could be a week-long discussion.
Man, yeah, it could go on for quite a while. So we're going to wrap it up there. George, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for letting me on here.
Man, thank you for bringing your stuff and showing and chopping it up with me, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So,
I enjoyed it.
this is something I'm excited about, the whole church security program, and like I said, I feel that, I was asked to do it, and I feel that's God's calling
Oh, yes,
for
sir.
me with the church.
Yes,
And
sir, exactly.
with that being said, like I said, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Like I said, appreciate you for coming on. Our next show will be next Thursday, high noon, 12 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll have Michael back, and you won't just have to look at my face. And then maybe the Thursday after that, we'll have another guest speaker on. So, with that, I hope everyone has a great day. And if, you know what, George, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, yes. Kevin's gonna put everything in the comment section as far as my contact info, but my phone number is 903-808-6103. T.O.C Kydex on Facebook. And if you have any questions, just THETOC Kydex at gmail.com.
Awesome. So again, yeah, I'll put his contact information in the comments of this. So if that's something that you're looking for, or man, if you have any questions about stuff like that, man, just give him a call.
Yes, sir.
He does have a normal job, so he'll get back to you when he can. I'm sure. So.
Oh yeah, I'm usually always real good about answering questions real quick as I can anyway.
Okay, good deal. Again, thank you, George, and thank y'all for joining us for Fortis Live. This is our second program, and hopefully we'll make it better with each show. So thank you, guys, and y'all have a wonderful Thursday.
Bye, everybody.